Democratic hopefuls on the campaign trail trying to drum up support in an early primary state. We are now just 4 days ahead of the first Democratic debate. 500 days to go before the 2020 election. ABC's White House correspondent Tara Palmieri is in Columbia, South Carolina, with a look at what the candidates are focusing on. Good morning to you, Tara.
Good morning, Eva. The South Carolina primary is more than 250 days away, but these candidates are all down here. They were at a steaming hot fish fry trying to make the case to African-American voters. That's because the Palmetto State is one of the first primaries in the region.
There's a whole bunch of candidates going to be coming on this stage.
Overnight, a show of unity. 21 of the 23 Democratic candidates on stage together in South Carolina at Congressman Jim Clyburn's annual fish fry.
Whomever the Democratic nominee is, we have to stay together and elect a Democrat president of the United States of America.
A bitter standoff between Senator Cory Booker and Vice President Joe Biden, ending with a hug. This after one of the most divisive weeks on the campaign trail.
For his posture to be to me, I've done nothing wrong, you should apologize, I'm not a racist, is so insulting.
Biden defiant after Booker called on him to apologize for reminiscing about the days of civility in the Senate when he worked with segregationists.
Are you going to apologize like Cory Booker?
Apologize for what?
Cory Booker's called for it.
Cory should apologize. He knows better.
The other candidates vying for Clyburn's endorsement in the early primary state and making the case to black voters. And they're not satisfied with Biden's silence.
Look, I've said very clearly he needs to apologize.
Joe Biden hasn't apologized.
He should apologize.
Should he apologize?
Well, I'm gonna leave that to him to.
Would you apologize?
Well, I wouldn't say that, so.
What Joe Biden said was very important, which is that in order for us to solve the challenges of this country, we've got to be able to come together.
But some voters more concerned about who will beat President Trump than anything else.
Right now, at this point, Joe Biden has the best chance at beating Donald Trump.
I think Biden is our best chance.
I think any of those guys could beat Trump.
Congressman Jim Clyburn is a bit of a kingmaker down here, so his endorsement matters, and he is defending Joe Biden. Now, these candidates have a very busy weekend ahead of them. They're speaking at a South Carolina Democratic primary event and a Planned Parenthood forum. Dan?
All right, Tara, thank you very much. Let's bring in our ringer, ABC News chief political analyst Matthew Dowd, who joins us from Texas. Matthew, good morning. Let's start here with Joe Biden. This whole dust-up over his comments about working with segregationist senators. Is this likely to be a long-term problem for him, or do you think it's just a blip?
Well, I think the longer-term problem for Joe Biden is the fact that he got elected first before 8-track tape came and went. I mean, that's the problem with Joe Biden. I think he still thinks the words and the actions and the policies of the 70s when he first came there apply today. I think it's not going to politically. He can deal with this next week. He's got a debate next week. I think he can deal with this next week in the midst of the first debates next week. But I think, as I say, this particular incident isn't necessarily a long-term problem. The long-term problem is, does he fit the 21st century electorate that he's about to face?
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out whether I should explain to our younger viewers what an 8-track tape is, or maybe a Betamax. Anyway, let me move on.
Tell him it's long before iPod, it's long before iPod, it's long before downloading.
Yes, distinctly analog. Let's stay on this issue of the Democrats running for president. Race, as we've seen, has been an issue for Biden. It's also now an issue for one of the buzzy young Democratic candidates, one of the candidates who may not know what 8-tracks are. There's this video that's now surfacing of Mayor Pete Buttigieg, who skipped the campaign events in South Carolina. He returned to his home city, where he's mayor, in South Bend, Indiana, where he was surrounded by angry community members, some of them holding Black Lives Matter signs. There's outrage now in South Bend after the fatal police shooting of a black man. Take a listen.
We set up the body cameras, right? And then they failed us when we needed them. So if you're saying it's not good enough, you're right.
And that was a relatively tame moment. There are other moments where he was being screamed at. And there's been talk for a while that Buttigieg, who's been on somewhat of a rocket ride, actually really needs to make inroads with black voters nationally if he's going to make it. So how is this moment likely to play for him?
Well, I think I've always thought for candidates like Pete Buttigieg, the biggest test would not come in their rise, but would come when they went through a gauntlet of bad press. And I think this is a test of him. The other part I think that's affected of Pete Buttigieg is he only has ever held one political office, and that's mayor of South Bend, Indiana. And he has to demonstrate that that one political office he's held, he can do well and he can bring the community together. If that frays in that community, then one of the major points that he's running on, which is what he's done in South Bend, Indiana, starts to deteriorate. Again, like Joe Biden, he's going to be in the midst of a debate next week. He's going to have to face these questions in this. But as any politician, as I look at any politician, the hardest part they have is when they go through the gauntlet. And we'll see how Mayor Pete survives through this first initial problem that he's never had before.
Yep, these candidates are being tested. That's the point of the system. Matthew Dowd, really appreciate your analysis.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.